Welkom bij een nieuwe Hup Bitcoin podcast. Ik ben Robin en vandaag is Henry Brade van Het Finse Coinmotion te gast. Hij is al sinds 2011 bezig met Bitcoin en met zijn bedrijf Coinmotion is hij een van de grootste spelers in zijn land Finland. We praten over de toekomst van Bitcoin, de mogelijke aankomende bull market en de internationale regels voor Bitcoin bedrijven komen ook uitgebreid aan bod. Enjoy!
Thank you for joining us. It's a good time to talk about Bitcoin. The price is breaking out as we are recording this podcast. So let's get started. When and how did you first hear about Bitcoin?
So I actually heard about Bitcoin quite early on in 2011. So it was, I think, spring of 2011. So I think next spring, it'll be 10 years. So,
right.
So I've been around for a while. I think it was just a group of friends. We were looking at some news and some like news about Bitcoin mining and Silk Road and stuff like that. That was kind of relevant stuff at the time. And then we started doing Bitcoin mining. At first, it was just about the money and like trying to get more money with the mining, and it was all kind of focused on that. And
how did that work out?
Well, it worked out pretty well. Although I have to say, like, it was really profitable only for a few months because the competition was so, like, there was so much competition immediately because when the profitability of the mining went high, everybody started doing it all over the world, just buying up video cards to be able to mine. So me and a group of friends, we had actually a couple of apartments full of mining gear, and it was
what like kind of mining gear?
They were like just regular PCs with video cards. So each PC had 3 or 4 video cards. We had apartments full of them. So it was like a semi-serious operation, but it was before the time of these kind of corporate kind of warehouses where you have massive amounts of ASIC mining chips and so on, which is kind of the mining today.
Yeah.
But mining back then was a little bit different. It was like regular people just running that stuff on their PCs, and yeah, that was that. And I think quite quickly I started learning about Bitcoin in more in depth and like kind of figuring out what meaning it actually has, and got really interested in the societal aspects and that it could really challenge the central banking system and lots of things. Like I got really interested in. Then just kind of had the like realization that in Finland locally we didn't have any services around this. No info websites, no buy and sell possibility, no discussion forums, or nothing basically. So just figured out
that the first.
Yeah, so I figured I'm going to start that. So we started that in 2012. Bittiraha is the original service, which is in Finnish, and we still run it in Finland. It's the Finnish kind of this kind of news website, which has crypto news. It has crypto forums. It also has a simple buy and sell. But obviously, after that, we've done a lot of things as a company, and nowadays Coinmotion is our main product, which we are expanding internationally.
So I'll get back to you on Coinmotion later. I want to talk about some personal stuff first.
Yeah.
You said something about challenging the central banks. Is that the most important thing for you about Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think that for me, the most important thing is to kind of challenge the fiat currencies. So basically I kind of have an alternative to Euro, USD and currencies like that, where you basically have a system where you have a group of people, which is basically the central bankers, which is usually like a committee of people running the central bank. They decide on how the money is created, and of course there's a lot of things to it. Like it's actually the regular banks issuing loans is where most of the money is actually being created, but the central banks do kind of affect that process quite a lot with their rules and their interest rates and stuff like that. So they kind of set the playing field, and they also loan this base money to the banks, and then the banks, regular banks, do the actual kind of issuance of new money through the loans. That's how it works. And to have an alternative to this, where you have like a hard money alternative, like have something like gold, but that is modern. So that's kind of the point for me. So I like gold as well. I've been a gold investor even before Bitcoin. So I like physical gold, not paper gold, but physical gold. That's great, but it's really limited. Like gold is very cumbersome. It's not very useful. It has various problems, and Bitcoin manages to kind of fix almost all of gold's problems, like to improve on gold's issues, so that was highly interesting to me, and that's kind of for me still the key point, that it's basically digital gold, and I think that's in itself extremely powerful thing. Like I think with Bitcoin you can do lots of things. There's a lot of other potential benefits with like payments, and you could use the blockchain itself for like verifying stuff and authenticity of stuff, like the Bitcoin blockchain. And also you have some privacy thing, like you could potentially use Bitcoin privately. Of course, that's a kind of a controversial. Yeah, it's hard, and it's a difficult topic for a lot of reasons. But I think for the main thing for me is the digital gold aspect.
Yeah, the main thing sounds like me. It's more about challenging the current big money systems, right?
Yeah.
Do you have a personal target for yourself? You said you started with Bitcoin around 2011. Did you sell anything along the way, or were you always like, I'll just keep hoarding it because it may become more valuable?
Well, I do sell sometimes, have sold sometimes Bitcoins, because for just like purposes of needing money for costs of living, but also like I've also diversified. So nowadays I have investments in basically a lot of things. So it's not just about crypto. I used to be all in crypto some years ago.
That was a good move, right, early on?
Yes, it was a good move back then, but in the 2017 hype, 2017 when we had the big, the most recent kind of bull market, then I did diversification to other investments to make sure that, okay, if I'm wrong and Bitcoin will fail or crash totally or something, I'm still in a decent shape. So that's what I did. But that didn't really change my belief in Bitcoin. It was just kind of a diversification move, and I think that for me, Bitcoin is becoming more of a thing that just is, and is kind of it because I know a lot about it. I've been explaining it to people, and kind of it's been a central thing in my life for 10 years. Mm-hmm. And now it's becoming kind of a regular thing for me. It's no more much different as a concept or thing to me as something like euros. So it's money. It's digital gold. I think it's great, but for me it's not like super special anymore nowadays. So compared to what it was, because I've kind of gotten used to it. So basically, from an interest point of view, I think I'm moving to other things slowly but surely. But that's a separate issue to like what money I'm holding and how am I going to manage my personal investments and stuff like that. I don't think that's a different topic, but how I'm going to spend my time and my interests, it's going to be other things than Bitcoin as well, because it's becoming more of a regular thing. I'm also seeing this development from others who've been like veterans in Bitcoin. They're still just as believers in Bitcoin as before, but they're kind of switching their personal interest to other things because they basically already know everything about Bitcoin. So or like not everything, but they know enough that it's becoming kind of the regular thing.
You get a little bored of Bitcoin.
yeah, exactly. And there's occasionally new exciting stuff that I like a Lightning Network. I've been testing that using some wallets, and I still think it's kind of years off from mainstream use, the Lightning Network, but it's improving rapidly. There's various things that occasionally interest me, that okay, this is new, this is very interesting. And of course I like to check the price, because I have of course investments in Bitcoin. I like to check how the price is going. And of course I have a company that I'm helping to run, which is doing Bitcoin centric stuff. So there's a lot of very exciting things in the development of the company itself, which is another excitement. But yeah, it's been an interesting kind of journey. And yeah, that was a good way of putting it, that it's getting a bit boring sometimes, but I think that's quite natural when you're kind of being into it every day for 10 years.
Yeah, it's only natural. Do you think there's a scenario where you get fully back into Bitcoin, like 90% of your investments somehow?
Well, that can obviously happen if the price rises.
Yeah, like... but not by choice of your own.
Well, I think it's unlikely, because I like my investment thesis, or the idea of investing is sort of what makes sense to me is that when you're young and you have a small amount of money, it makes sense to put it potentially even in one kind of investment, which is high risk and potentially very high reward.
Yep, that's me.
Because the downside is not that bad. Like even if you lose all of it, you can still work and get that amount of money back fairly easily through working and just regular like salary. Like that's my thinking there. But then when you have acquired funds and you have like a significant amount of money, then you need to look at diversifying and like making sure that the risk is managed correctly. Because if you then put everything in the same basket and it kind of fails, then the loss will be so high that you'll never be able to make it back. So that's basically my thinking. I'm in a kind of position now that for me the diversification is something I have to look into. So kind of putting this all in type of mentality is no longer the right move for me, but it was definitely a better move like early on.
Yeah, with Prezos, with your company, you're kind of putting all your eggs in the same basket, right?
Yeah, well, the company is actually, it's called Coinmotion as well, the company nowadays. So
it changed.
We changed the name in, I think it was August or something. So now it's all Coinmotion, because that's the main platform. We wanted to rebrand around it.
I like the name better. Coinmotion is better, especially for international clients, I think.
Yeah, for sure. At Coinmotion, we of course, all of the Coinmotion activities are focused on crypto. So it's a crypto financial service provider, but it's fairly diversified within crypto in the sense that we are doing lots of things. It's focusing on, our full focus is on kind of investment services and kind of ways of using your crypto. So we started with just trading. So that was when the company started. It was just like buy and sell Bitcoin, that's it. And then we kind of started adding stuff. So now you can store Bitcoin with us, so you can keep it there safely. Then
do you think that's a good practice, to store Bitcoin at another place that it's not your own wallet?
I think that's I think there's two ways of looking at that topic. It's like, for people who can get comfortable with storing the Bitcoin themselves or any crypto, they should do it, because that's kind of the original idea behind cryptos, that you have the possibility to store them yourself. And I think that's fine, because you have great tools to do it nowadays. You have ledger wallets and other types of like secure wallets that allow you to do it yourself. But I think the issue is that some like enthusiasts kind of misses that, is that there's a lot of people that are just so bad and so uncomfortable with that kind of stuff. they're afraid of kind of losing the keys, losing the passwords. They're afraid they'll lose the money. And in some cases, it can be legit. So there's actually a risk that they'll do some mistake, that they'll lose the money. So in that scenario, it can be better for the user to store it with some entity like Coinmotion, some trusted entity that kind of knows what they're doing. And in case the customer got to forget something, we have measures in place where we can recover the customer's account securely, and you can get access to the funds again. So I think I think either way is good depending on the person, because so it's not that simple. I do recommend storing your own keys, because if it's not your keys, it's not your coins. I gotta understand this sentiment, but also I do think there are people who are potentially better off storing them with a trusted third party.
It's kind of a rule of thumb. If you are able to do it yourself, you should do it. But if you have doubts, or you want to try something out and just get exposure to Bitcoin at the Bitcoin price level, then you could look at custodians, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way to look at it. And I think that's never going to go away. I don't believe in this kind of Bitcoin future where you would not have third parties storing the funds. So I think that's unrealistic. It's kind of a utopian concept. What will happen is that you will remain to have the choice, and that's the great thing about Bitcoin. You have the choice of storing it yourself. You can always make that choice, and that will kind of force, maybe in the future there will be even more kind of transparency with the storage of third parties, because there are ways with Bitcoin to actually prove that you have those funds in there. So how it would work is like you would have like segregated customer accounts, that they're actually segregated on the crypto level, not just like bookkeeping, which is the way usually people do it, like how we do it right now. They're segregated by bookkeeping, and they're not actually segregated in the crypto wallet level. So in the future, you would have segregated wallets in the crypto wallet level for all the clients, and you could like allow this kind of crypto level, blockchain level auditing of the funds, that okay, they do actually exist in your specific crypto wallet. So
yeah, that's very important, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a great development in the future, and our company is definitely going to be part of that, because we would like to rather do it that way. We would like for everyone to do it that way. The problem right now has been that the technological tools to do this conveniently and securely for like cold wallet solutions and stuff like that is extremely problematic, difficult, or even impossible with today's tools. But I think that in the future, it will go to that direction, because technically it's possible. It is possible to do it that way. It's just currently extremely inconvenient, because it would cause so much manual work at the moment with today's tools that it's just not really practical for any company. But I think in the future, it will go to that direction. And I think that's great, because then even though we will have custodial solutions, the custodial solutions themselves will be quite robust. Like you wouldn't have like so easily like fractional reserve practices because when you don't have
the now, right?
Yeah, because you don't have the auditability. If you don't have the auditability, there can be fractional reserve practices that people don't even know about. There can be cases where the money is kind of stolen and it's gone and you don't know about it. Like there's a lot of things that can happen if you don't have the auditability. And the interesting is that no other asset has that level of auditability on kind of a mathematical, technical, transparent level as you can do with crypto blockchain and the crypto signatures, addresses, transactions, all of that. You can do such a high level auditability that is not possible with any other asset class.
So you would like to see a future where people can, with a click of a mouse button, audit the company where they are trusting their funds to?
Yeah. In the future, I envisioned it that if you have a Coinmotion account, you will be able to see exactly where your funds are in the blockchain, and you can always verify that their existence and that everything is fine and so on. Because right now that's not possible, and it's not really possible with any other company either, because of the issues I already explained. But it will be possible someday, and I hope that will be the direction. I also hope kind of that the developers are like open source developers are kind of starting to provide tools to that direction. The companies that provide these kind of enterprise custody solutions, I hope they are coming up with solutions to improve this direction. And also that the customers, the crypto users around the world kind of start demanding this kind of stuff. So that accelerates the progress of the development, because it does require development. We need better custody wallet tools to be able to set up these kind of segregated cold wallet solutions in a practical way.
Yeah, because big players like PayPal are now joining the market. And because it is not a standard yet that you can audit your funds at a custodial, they will not be doing it at the start. They will just say, you can buy Bitcoin at our place, but you can't take it off and you can't audit it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, PayPal is very restricted because you can't even send crypto out of the service. So they're like doing this very restricted model. Well, it still affects the market quite a bit, because when a person buys the crypto in PayPal, it will still result in a market buy somewhere. So the kind of exchange connection PayPal is using, they will buy the crypto. They're just holding it themselves, not allowing it to be sent, but they allow it to kind of buy and sell. So it still has an effect, but of course for the user, it's limited use possibility.
Yeah, we kind of trust them that they do that, but we don't know for sure. It opens up the market for.
Well, I'm pretty sure they do. Like I've seen some comments that they're not necessarily doing it's like virtual Bitcoin, but they have to do it. Like it would be like, even for any company, PayPal or otherwise, it would be an absolutely massive risk to not do it.
True, because if you have a price movement like we have now.
Yeah, because Bitcoin can have these 10x price movements, and if you're not doing that, it can lead to serious issues. So I'm pretty sure they understand the liabilities and the risks, and they are actually making the purchases.
What do you think about PayPal and such joining the market? Do you think that's good for the market as a whole?
I think it's definitely good. Definitely good. That's the kind of development I envision, because for me, Bitcoin is an asset, a new asset class, new currency. I think that one of the key things that it needs to be integrated into various places from where you make payments. Because I've recently, last couple of years, I've understood that making payments with Bitcoin directly is not extremely relevant. It's not really the thing. The thing is that you should be able to use Bitcoin as an asset. So what it means that in the future, I do envision seeing Bitcoin as a currency in bank accounts, in accounts such as PayPal, in Google wallets, in everything, in any financial account where you kind of make store funds and make transactions. You will be seeing Bitcoin there as a currency, and you will be able to use Bitcoin as kind of as an asset from where the payment is deducted from. So how the payment actually flows in what kind of payment network is completely irrelevant. What's relevant that you need to have the asset there available. And I think the PayPal move is a step to that direction, because those steps have already been happening. You have seen Revolut and some similar services already putting crypto there a while ago. Now you have PayPal. I think the banks are kind of slow to warm up to this, but I think that during the next bull market, which I think is happening the next within the next 1.5 years, we're going to see a massive bull market. And I think that that will be the catalyst that banks will start adding more crypto accounts to their services, which is kind of the direction where I envision this going. And that'll be a big deal, because then Bitcoin becomes truly mainstream, and it'll be like a truly mainstream asset that will actually start competing with USD and Euro and so on.
How do you think smaller companies can keep up with big banks joining the arena? Do you think that's possible?
Yes, it is possible, because this is a very specialized technology, and I think that there's a lot the smaller players like us. There's a lot of ways we can keep up. Like we've been thinking about this a lot. Like one is of course that we need to do certain things better, be more flexible, but we also can be a provider potentially for the banks, like be a service provider, because many of these financial companies, they will not be doing all the Bitcoin stuff themselves, but they will find some partner which will actually be doing that through an integration. So what we're looking at quite a bit is this potential of these integrations with financial entities, to have Coinmotion integrated there, so the stuff is happening through us for their customers. So there's various ways. There can be a lot of collaboration between crypto companies and these large financial institutions. I think a lot of that will happen, and of course it's also a matter of like flexibility and experience, and having the expertise to do that stuff is in the small crypto companies at the moment. And I think it's for the big players, they need to do a lot of work to kind of catch up. Of course they have a lot of resources, but still they need to do a lot of work. I think in many cases the path that makes most sense is to make a partnership with a existing crypto player and integrate that stuff with them, and that's probably going to be the most cost-efficient solution for many large financial institutions.
So the focus of Coinmotion is kind of changing from retail investors to more services for businesses and institutions?
Well, potentially. I would say that right now we are kind of in both worlds, and these are difficult decisions because we don't really know exactly how the market will develop, and also that's something I would say that is a key discussion point in Coinmotion at the moment. Like, do we want to just concentrate fully on the retail, or do we want to go fully on the B2B side, or can we do both by just expanding our resources enough to kind of support both directions? I think that's one of the key discussions we have at the moment, because one thing we've realized that we are kind of a smaller player compared to these large crypto companies even. We don't have the resources to do everything. We have to focus on certain things and do them well. That's something we realized, which is kind of it's pretty basic understanding, but still we've been doing a lot of things. We're trying a lot of things over the years, and now I think we're constantly focusing more and more. But I think this is a difficult question for us. Like, should we focus more on the B2C or the B2B2C kind of integration? So which one is better? But we'll see in the next couple of years. It'll be revealed like how the company will focus most. But at the moment, it's definitely B2C. So we're focusing on the retail. And then we're kind of investigating the possibilities of these B2B integrations. So that's where we're at the moment.
I think that market is only just getting started.
Yep.
The B2B.
Exactly. Yeah, it's in infancy, and we'll see how it develops and how much potential our company has to be involved in that.
All right. And when you want to deploy such services and stuff, in the Netherlands, the Dutch Central Bank is the supervisor and the watchdog of the Bitcoin market here. Who do you have to report to in Finland?
Well, we have the Financial Supervisory Authority. We have a pretty good license situation in the sense that, well, we have the local virtual currency operator registration, but that's kind of what Finland was the first country to kind of put it in place. And in many countries, it's still a work in progress to have that license, but it's based on the EU AML directive, so it's going to come everywhere in the Europe. But as an addition, what many crypto businesses lack is that we have a payment institution license, which basically means that everything euro related. So of course, as a broker, we need to have solid banking. We need to make sure we have solid bank transfers. Also, we are looking at adding lots of additional things to our service, which kind of rely on the payment institution license. some unique stuff that most players in the market don't have or cannot have. So that's quite neat, because the payment institution license is Europe-wide. So basically it's passported currently already to all the countries in Europe, including Netherlands. So that puts us in a good position to operate in the Netherlands or any European country where a payment institution license is active, because that already puts us in kind of a better position than most other international players, and in some cases even better position than even the local players. So that is something to keep in mind.
So you can start anywhere in Europe? Is that what you're saying with deploying services?
Yes. There's some. It depends. Like some countries, there are of course differences in the crypto regulation, and that kind of affects our possibility to work. Like for example, in German specifically, there's a little bit stricter regulation, which requires such like a financial service license, which is a little bit different. But so there we have some issues in going fully in Germany. We would need to expand our licenses a bit, but that's kind of an exception. In most countries in Europe, we can fully operate and market our service without an issue. Germany is a bit of an exception. They chose strange logic for Bitcoin and crypto. They decided in Germany that Bitcoin is a security. So which doesn't make any sense, because like a security, like a company share. So basically they put it in the same box as that, and then all the same regulatory requirements apply to like brokering shares, so company shares. So that makes it a bit difficult, more challenging to operate in Germany, but otherwise in Europe, our licenses do basically cover the operation.
So you're pretty much good to go.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little bit different from the Netherlands, because I see a lot of companies who are complaining and about the procedures and the demands of the central bank regarding delivering Bitcoin services. How is your relation with the regulators? It seems like it's pretty good. You're pretty happy with it.
Yes, we have very good relations. I think the specific people in charge in the Finnish authority regarding the payment institution license and the crypto operator registration, I think that there's the same people like in charge of both of those sections. I think those people are good people, and we've had very good communication like both ways, and everything has worked smoothly. So yeah, there's been a good situation, but I've heard like we have had our problems in the past, like before the current situation where we have solid licenses and solid banking. It's a different situation as we had before, because in the past we have massive problems, like when this regulatory framework didn't exist, we didn't have any actual licenses. We actually lost a lot of bank accounts. I think we lost 4 or 5 bank accounts, and we were at least 2 times in the past years, we were on the brink of shutdown because we were so close to kind of losing our last bank account. To kind of fight this, we always had multiple bank accounts because we knew of the issue. So we had 2 or 3 bank accounts always.
Did they give specific reasons for shutting you down, or was it more like you're doing something with Bitcoin? Bye.
Yeah, no reason. It's just like just bye, and sometimes really quickly as well. So it was a very frustrating period, but we kind of put it as our main focus for the whole company to fix this, and we identified that to make it truly solid, we have to become a payment institution ourselves, which is kind of a low-level banking license. It's not a full banking license, but it's a low-level banking license. So we applied for that, and that basically fixed our issues. Our relationship with the banks improved drastically, specifically thanks to the payment institution license, and that was the solution for that issue. And now we're in a solid situation. So that's important, because then the customers of, well, it's important of course, but it's so important because the customers of Coinmotion now can kind of trust that the euro funds they keep in our platform are safe, and the transactions will go through. Like if they're depositing, if they're withdrawing, it will go through. We're kind of in a solid state, I think more solid than ever, and one of the most solid companies in the space, definitely in this regard. So I think that's because we kind of focus a lot on building trust. We've been doing, the company's been in operation for 8.5 years, and we really focus on making sure things are secure and things work properly, and that's our key focus. Because as a financial institution, we see us as a crypto financial institution. Like kind of reliability and security is a key point. It's the most important thing, and we do really focus on it.
Yeah, you're a relatively old company, right, in the Bitcoin space.
Yeah.
How is the landscape for startups in Finland? Because in the Netherlands, there are a lot of people who are currently maybe quitting their services or trying to flee the country to start somewhere else because of the strong demands of the Dutch central bank. Do you see a lot of Bitcoin startups pop up in Finland still, or is the landscape kind of settled?
Yeah, it's a bit settled. I think there are some startups popping up, but I think they're more in the DeFi, DeFi side. So it's like startups doing something with Bitcoin, not really, because we're such an established player, like basically dominating the local market. So that makes it difficult. I think it's more of an issue that we have even some competitors locally, so we're not the only one. So the situation is such that it would be, from a competition perspective, extremely difficult for a new player to come to the market to do the same things as the players are doing who are already there. It's less about regulatory hurdles, because the virtual currency registration, well, it's not super heavy, so it's basically doable. Of course, for a really early startup, like a small startup, it can be a little bit of a hurdle, yeah, but it's not like a massive thing, like compared to going through like US state regulations or something crazy like that. It's still fairly simple. It's possible, and then of course there's the banking issues, getting the solid bank account. I think that's actually a bigger one. That's a bigger issue than the regulation, because.
But it's such a weird power dynamic, right?
Payment institution license, which. Yeah, it is. So there's some hurdles there, but I think also the competition itself, which is the market situation, also matters. Like why you wouldn't see like massive amount of companies that doing the exact same thing. But I've seen some companies like doing DeFi and so on, which are like crypto-related crypto stuff, but it's not like something that competes with Coinmotion.
That sounds good, because I don't really like the DeFi stuff. So let's keep it at Bitcoin for now.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's kind of weird that the central bank of our country is also the overseer of the industry, that at its core kind of tries to diminish their power?
That is unfortunate, because in Finland that's segregated. The main authority, financial authority, is not central bank, it's the financial supervisory authority, which is a separate institution.
Yeah.
So in Finland, this is completely separate. Of course, central bank has power, and they put out comments on Bitcoin like every week, basically, and they're always almost like very negative, actually. But the good thing is that those are segregated. So the central bank doesn't really have much to say in our operation or anybody else's. They're just kind of commenting on the risks and how silly Bitcoin is, and how it's basically the person in Finland who's the communicator from central bank regarding digital currencies always refers to Bitcoin as digital sand.
Really?
So instead of digital gold, instead of digital gold, he always refers to it as digital sand.
Maybe that's true for other digital monies, but I don't think that is for Bitcoin the case.
Yeah, I agree as well, but that's kind of the sentiment that's coming from the central bank, but it's segregated, so there's a separate entity which is kind of more reasonable on these issues than the central bank. But I've seen this in other countries as well. For example, I think in Lithuania, where they have been issuing a lot of these e-money licenses, which is an interesting thing as well. They're kind of innovative on that, but there is also the same issue that the central bank is the regulator on all of that. So and I don't know exactly like which countries in Europe it's that way, but I do kind of prefer and think it's much better if you have a separate financial regulator, like an authority supervising this stuff, not the central bank, because I think as time goes on, that will actually become an even bigger of a problem, because if the whole market and the Bitcoin economy and Bitcoin itself develops the way I kind of envision, which is, I think it will truly become one of the big currencies and big assets. And when it starts to be big enough that it actually affects the valuation of euro, there will be a massive conflict between the central banks and Bitcoin. And if central banks are overseeing Bitcoin, like regulation and stuff like that, I think that's not quite ideal, because there's a huge conflict of interest there. But yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, it is ideal for the people in power at the banks, right?
Yeah, it is. But I think that I wouldn't generalize that banks are bad. I think that banks are generally, regular banks, for example, are, many of them are neutral about this. They're doing their own thing, their own business, and don't really care about what kind of money is there, as long as there's demand and they can proceed to do their lending business or investment and so on, what are their main businesses, and they're not that opinionated. Of course, there's some banks that kind of are really vocal about this and say that Bitcoin is a useless piece of crap, and like that's also what some banks say. But it's important to not generalize, and banks have different opinions on these issues, and it's important to differentiate regular commercial banks from central banks, because central banks are very different, and I think central banks will generally have negative views on Bitcoin, and I think those negative views will increase as time goes on. But I think that eventually, my theory and my kind of prediction is that in the end, what will happen is that central banks will simply give way, and they will start buying Bitcoin themselves, as the same way as they have gold and so on. They will have to buy Bitcoin to stabilize their own kind of positions. That will be, I think, the end game. The end game is that even central banks will start buying Bitcoin, because it's just because when the day comes that they potentially start to actually thinking about banning Bitcoin and kind of stopping it because it's threatening the stability of the euro, I think Bitcoin is at that point big enough, too big to be stopped, and then they will just realize that, okay, we have to buy it ourselves. So that's just my theory, but of course these are big and exciting things that will be remain to be seen.
It's the end game, right? But
Yeah,
it's also already happening, like in a rogue state. Iran is already buying Bitcoin from their miners. Don't know if you heard that news.
Yeah, that's interesting. Definitely these states are that are operating a little bit in the gray areas. I think the gray area states are definitely going to be adopting Bitcoin first, and then it will be the more legit states after that. So that is
it's a weird dynamic, I think.
It's the same in Bitcoin always. Like when Bitcoin exploded for the first time, relatively, was in 2011, and then it was because of Silk Road and the publicity it got, and all this kind of drug trading online and so on. So it's always been the story of Bitcoin, that it starts from illegitimate stuff and then goes to legit stuff. And actually the same has been like interesting to see the comparison that with the internet it was the same story. Like internet originally, there's been a lot of illegal stuff, and where it started to interest people for the illegal use, and then it transformed from there to a lot of legit use, and that's been the cycle with Bitcoin, and the same applies to this kind of how the governments are, because we see those news like North Korea being involved in Bitcoin somehow, or Iran or something like that. That's like where it starts, but that's not where it ends, because the next step is that you will have legit governments and countries. You will see them also buying Bitcoin eventually.
I think it's a weird dynamic, but it's also what makes Bitcoin great, that everybody can use it. And even though you might not like it, that Iran or North Korea are doing something with Bitcoin, you have no say in it.
Exactly. That is key understanding that I think everybody should have. That's kind of learning about Bitcoin, and anybody basically is to understand that there's things happening there, but they're just happening, and you have to live with it regardless of what it is. And that's kind of the whole idea between having this free market money, so that you can use it for various purposes, and that's it. That's what makes it different, what makes it exciting, what makes it special, what makes it actually valuable is those attributes. Because if it's no different than fiat currencies, it would not have any value. The value comes from the special attributes that are different from fiat currencies.
Yeah, I think that's the case, and it's pretty interesting to follow. What I wanted to ask you is, you were a professional poker player for a few years. What did you learn in that space that helps you in the world of Bitcoin?
Well, I think it's well, I learned a couple of things. One is management of money was extremely important. As a poker player, you have to manage your kind of cash reserves and play at a level that you had enough money, so that even in a bad run, so if you had bad luck for a long time, you still didn't lose all of your money. And like, it was really, really important to have really strong money management, and also like to be able to kind of manage your emotions with the bad luck. So if you had a bad luck and you have to, for a long time, you have to manage that emotion and not get like too frustrated and then lose money because of that, or try to like kind of get the money back, because this kind of I need to get this money back attitude is toxic in poker. It's the main reason people lose money in gambling, is this I need to get this money back attitude. It's not the way you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to make good decisions for each hand you're playing, regardless of the outcome. Like, the outcome can be a losing one 1,000 times in a row, but if you're making the right decision, you're playing correctly, and then it's fine. You will eventually win, and you'll win more than you lose if you just keep playing well. The same applies to investing and trading and Bitcoin. Like if you're trading crypto, you just need to make the right decision more than you make the wrong decision. Of course, you have to take into account the exchange fees. In poker, it's basically the rake the casino is taking, but in trading, it would be the exchange fees. So you have to take that into account and then make more good decisions than bad decisions, and you're basically winning. So the goal is to win, and then you can calculate the margin of how much you're winning. And like a poker player can calculate exactly like what's the margin long term he's winning. And same for a trader, they should be able to calculate the long term if they're a winning trader, that is. But the main thing, yes, but the main thing what I learned is definitely the controlling of emotions, to be able to concentrate on making good decisions. That helped me a lot in the Bitcoin world, because the volatility of the price and being heavily invested in Bitcoin has led to problematic emotions. Like if there's a price crash, you might like get really depressed about it, even panic and just sell all your Bitcoin or something like that. I actually made that kind of moves early on, and some pretty big mistakes, and it took me a while to even when I had the poker background, I was still kind of hit hard by the volatility of Bitcoin. It was just so massive, and I was so into it that the emotional ride was hard. But still, the poker helped with that a lot. I played 6 years professionally, and And then after the first kind of bubble in Bitcoin, I was able to manage things better in the next one. And now when the third one happened in 2017, I was basically cool as a cucumber basically for that one because it was my third. So yeah, so it's been a learning process, and it's just always exciting to see the reactions of people who are experiencing it for the first time. And now we're on the verge of this happening for the fourth time, which is right now starting. I think we're heading towards a new all-time high, which might happen within months. And then after the next all-time high, we will start seeing massive hype in the media. We will see everybody talking about it again. We will see the next bull market, which will be, I think, massive. It will surprise everyone. And it's just interesting to see if my emotions will be in check, but especially like the new people in our company, new people everywhere in the scene, like how they're reacting to this. So it's always exciting to see if they're experienced for the first time. I think there will be in the next bull market, they will be shitting their pants.
Yeah, it's my second and a half bull market if we started now. And I managed to delete all price tracking apps of my phone, so I don't wake up and refresh the price every moment of my life. So that's progress, I think.
Yeah, and that's a difficult issue. Like for a crypto company, I think it's an actual like productivity issue and question is that we have a lot of work at Coinmotion at the moment. Like we have so much development going on, and of course we have the upkeeping of the service in a kind of a scenario where we have increased amount of customers and volume, increasing amounts. So there's a lot of work. But meanwhile, then like if the price is rocketing really hard, everybody is somewhat invested, at least the company probably.
Of
so
course.
Everybody is looking at the price constantly, and like I think that's actually a productivity issue for the companies during bull market. Like just need to say to people like please concentrate on the working.
Yeah, I think that is a challenge. Are you all working from home now?
Mostly, but the situation with COVID is such it's decently good in Finland, so we can work at office as well. But I think that people are many are used to working more from remotely, so we do both quite a lot.
All right, and you talked about stuff being in development at Coinmotion. What are some of the products that are in the pipeline for now?
There's a lot of things.
Where's the focus at? I read something that you also were into the Bitcoin ATM business. Is that something you're working on right now?
Yeah, the ATM, we've been in it for a long time. The ATMs are run by a subsidiary, so it's not by Coinmotion, but it's a subsidiary of Coinmotion, which runs a Finnish Bitcoin ATM network. So there we have 10 locations, and we're actually expanding it a bit. So we're adding 3 more in the near future. So that business is doing well. So it's kind of solid part of the business. Not as big as Coinmotion, but it's part of the whole group, Coinmotion group basically. But that's one part. But in Coinmotion itself, well, we have a lot of things in the pipeline. Like we're going to add a couple of things that will enable us to better expand in Europe. There's a couple of main things. One is we're going to update the verification tool, so it will be much easier for people to verify their like IDs and stuff on the platform. It will also be more secure on the back end, so we'll have less fraud going through the system.
Very important with the regulations up everywhere.
It's extremely important. Then the other one is we're adding instant bank payment methods Europe-wide. So not just Finland, which we already have. We have instant payment methods in Finland. We're going to add it to other countries as well, including Netherlands. So that'll be pretty big because no other crypto player that we're aware of can actually do that at the moment. So that is with the exception of card payments, but card payments are expensive. This payment method we're providing is cheap, instant bank payments. So it's very different from card payments. So that'll be huge.
Don't you think other companies, for example, in the Netherlands already have that, but only in our country? Just not internationally.
Yeah, potentially. But I think I've seen very little of that. I think usually when I see somebody have instant payments, it's card payments, and then it's from 3 to 5% fees on average. It can be more, but it's usually in that range. It's card payments that are instant. It's very rare to have other types of instant payments in any kind of crypto service. And locally, yeah, it's sometimes, like for example, in Sweden, you have the Swish, which they use for instant payments, and we have our own instant payments in Finland. So
yeah, we have some providers here who basically you pay with your card, and it's via a thing called Ideal, and it's instantly paid, and you get your Bitcoin right away. So there are some companies that are already doing that locally, but I don't know how that is in the rest of Europe.
Yeah, the card payments we already have card payments. The problem is the fees, as it's more expensive. Yeah. When you do with the bank, if you can manage to get the bank payments, instant bank payments, it's usually much cheaper for the client. So that's what we're focusing on to make that happen in the Netherlands. And also we have a lot of things like you can either future trade crypto to crypto. So now you basically just trade Euro, Bitcoin, Euro, Litecoin, and the other way around. But you'll also be able to trade Bitcoin to Litecoin. These kind of, you can switch your positions from the different cryptos we have in the platform. We have 5. So that makes it easier for people to, like, if they want to kind of refocus their crypto portfolio, where we have more and more features nowadays to kind of easily set up a portfolio of your liking and set up like monthly savings, which will be done exactly as you say. Like you can buy, for example, let's say you could buy like 70% Bitcoin, and then you buy 10% Litecoin, 10% Ethereum, 10% Ripple. You could do that kind of portfolio in Coinmotion easily and just pay monthly. So we're going to improve on those features to be able to do crypto trading.
Do you already have an option for, or is that what you just talked about, dollar cost averaging?
Yeah, the monthly,
yeah,
that's already live. It's live, so you can use that already, and that's very.
I think that's a big thing. It's I use a company from Switzerland for that now. So if you guys are cheaper, I might check it out.
Yeah, the monthly savings is very good, very useful. You can choose like also the frequency. It's not necessarily once a month. It can be frequency of your choosing. We have multiple options, but it's very, very convenient. I think more and more people are using it. Also, we allow the monthly savings purchases will be with discounted fee. So it's with a lower fee than the regular trading. So that's kind of a nice incentive to set up the monthly savings. This was something we changed very recently. So we're giving a lower fee for the monthly savings.
So it's cheaper to do it that way than to market buy?
Yes, it's cheaper, and we want to kind of the reason.
That's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah, and it's the reason we want to make it cheaper is that if we get a customer using that, it's kind of a guaranteed kind of or semi-guaranteed regular customer. If he's doing just a single buy, single sell, it's not worth as much for us than having a regular activity. So then we can give it a discount on that. So that's the point. And what we're coming up with, we have these interesting products. Like we already have interest accounts, so you can put your crypto to get interest. It's basically loaned to exchanges and other OTC players where as a collateralized loan, which is used on the trading markets for making short positions. So in kind of leverage trading markets, you make long positions, short positions. So through us, you can actually loan your crypto there. It's relatively safe. It's not risk-free. I have to say it's not risk-free.
Sounds kind of risky to me.
Yeah, it's not risk-free, but it's relatively safe. And for the risk you take, you get interest. And that's one of the only ways to get interest for crypto. There's a couple of other players in the market who do the same thing. And we're doing that through a partner. So we made an integration. It's not fully our offering because there's complicated stuff behind that product. And we use a partner that handles it. But we have an integration which has been very popular. I would say it's been much more popular than I anticipated. We have a large amount of funds going to the interest accounts, and people really like the idea because it's kind of a traditional idea. You get interest from some kind of investments. I think that's why people are using it a lot, and it's an alternative to just holding the funds. I'm so risk averse. I'm mostly just holding, but more and more of our customers are using the interest account. But then we're doing other thing. A new one which is coming up is you can, in the future, you can get a loan from Coinmotion, a free loan, basically just euros you can spend for whatever, and you would use as a collateral. You would use your Bitcoins or Ethereum or whatever, and basically that's really neat. And I'm very excited about that, and we're currently developing it. So basically, if you have 10,000 euros worth of Bitcoin, you could get a 5,000 euro loan from us in euros and then the 10,000 euro worth of Bitcoin would be kept as locked as a collateral in our platform. And that's a product we're coming up with as soon as possible. We're currently developing it. We're also looking at the possibility to be able to pay. I'm keeping the details about this a little bit secret.
I understand.
Yet, but we're looking at ways to be able to pay from the Coinmotion balance everywhere. So we're making certain integrations where you could basically make regular payments of your like in your life,
like Apple Pay.
Well, I'm not talking about the details, like which integration it actually is, what it is, but basically that's what we're looking to also do in the short term. We've had a project related to this for a long while. We're working on it, and that I'm excited about this because this will expand us as kind of a crypto bank. We will become a more usable crypto financial institution because you can also make your day-to-day payments through Coinmotion, and not just use it as this kind of a crypto investment platform. So that'll expand the kind of purpose of the whole platform. But I think those are the key things where we're doing a lot of things, and this is not the full list, but this is, I think, a good teaser of what's coming.
Sounds good. I think if you choose to store your Bitcoin at Coinmotion, you have a lot of options, and options are always good, right?
Yes, there are options. That's definitely, like, you can just hold them in the regular account. Then we have this vault option, which has a small extra fee. The vault basically doesn't affect the background code storage. That's the same with all the funds. But what the vault affects is that the actual user account which you log into at Coinmotion, it will add this time lock for the funds. So if you try to withdraw them, there will be a time lock which you set beforehand. So that's kind of a additional security for someone who wants to keep them with us but wants to make it more difficult to withdraw them, which can be good in case somebody is kind of breaching your account. Of course, we recommend using two-factor on the account always, because that kind of increases the security.
That's a big attack factor.
Yeah,
some Dutch ladies who lost a lot of money by getting trapped or getting lured into a fake website where they were asked to download a plugin. They Googled the name of the broker and they clicked the first link, and that was a scam.
Oh no.
So it's very important to put two-factor authentication in.
Yeah, it's super important, but the vault can then, for some customers, can add even more security. Like if something has happened, you make a withdrawal, then you get notifications through various means. You get like emails, SMS and stuff that, okay, you're withdrawing, like you have 1 day of time to kind of cancel it, or you have to confirm it or something. And then you can choose the time frame. It can be 1 day, it can be 1 week, and so on. So that is the way, and I think the minimum is 12 hours. The minimum in the vault is 12 hours. So that's one way. Of course, then you have the interest account. You can put it in the interest account if you want the crypto, and then we will have the additional way in the future to take loans with the crypto, to use it as collateral. I think that's really neat, because if somebody needs money for living, for whatever purpose, and they need euros, and they don't want to sell the crypto because they think maybe, okay, in the next year the price will rise a lot, it would make much more sense to take a collateralized loan than just to sell the crypto. Because then if crypto price is developing positively, you could just cover the loan later and be up on the crypto price increase.
What
So
happens if the Bitcoin you stored and used as collateral plummets?
then it will be sold at some point. So because we already give 50% of the loan value, so if it's 10,000 euros of Bitcoin, you'll get 5,000 euro loan. Then if the price decreases enough, we'll start selling gradually. So we have this kind of a gradual model. We will publish, of course, the details, exact details in the website when we launch this product, but it will be gradually sold. And you will get alerts when it's close to being sold. You will get a lot of alerts, and then you have two options you can do. You can either pay the euro loan back, or you can increase the collateral, so deposit more crypto. So you have two options to fix this issue. If you don't, it will be gradually sold as it gets closer to the kind of limit. So this kind of forced liquidation will happen. But of course, it's usually best to avoid the forced liquidation, which means that you'll get alerts. You have a couple of options to kind of increase the loan or the collateral ratio. So you can increase collateral, or you can pay the loan back partially, for example, to get the ratio to a better shape. Then when the ratio is in a better shape, you will not be hit with the forced liquidation.
All right, sounds like a lot of developments and a lot of options on the platform.
Yeah,
right?
and the challenge is, of course, to keep it simple, like
simple and safe, I think.
Yeah, we don't want the service to be complicated or the user interface to become complicated. So I want that if somebody only wants to like create an account, deposit some euro, buy some Bitcoin, hold it there, maybe sell it in a couple of years, that'll be easy and very simple now, and it will be in the future as well. So one of our key focuses is that these additional features, which will not be for everybody, will not kind of clutter the user interface. We're trying to really hard to make sure this is the case, because I've seen other crypto services where they kind of add everything and the user interface becomes so cluttered that it's really hard to use.
And your mind might feel forced to use the functions that you don't need or even want.
Yeah, we try to focus on the usability. I think that's one of the things, because how we want to differentiate ourselves from the big crypto players is that we want to have better onboarding like experience. We want to have better usability in the platform in general. We want to have better customer service. We want to have better payment methods, so they're faster, they're more convenient. We also want to have a much like more localized service. So what we're doing gradually in countries that we're expanding is that we're actually localizing it. So you will not just see, for example, in Netherlands, it's of course a gradual process. We will have to see demand from the country to do these changes. But what we do in each country is that you will not just be seeing the website in Dutch. You will see Dutch-speaking customer service. You would see client managers, sales managers in that language.
I think localization is very important in general.
We focus on that, I think, a bit more than some of these large players who are kind of not that concerned about that. They just provide the service to everybody and have other things to their benefit. But I think that the localization is something we can do better than other players that are expanding to new countries. We already have a test market of this for a long time now in Spain. So the Spanish version of Coinmotion has been in development for quite a while, and there we have Spanish-speaking employees and not just the Spanish website. And like we've gone to the next step there already, and now Netherlands is basically the next one.
Why did you pick us, the Netherlands?
Well, I think that there's a lot of it's not a simple question to answer, because we have done this kind of looked at each country, done various studies of each country in Europe for various things. Like what matters is a wide variety of things. It's like the demand for crypto, the interest in general, like how mature is the market, what's the competition level, how easy it is for our licenses, our regulatory state to operate in the market, like how easy it is for us to localize, how is the banking, the payments going to work, like this. How much money do people have in that country? That's also one indicator for us when we look at like where to go. Like, do these people have funds to invest? So that like there's a gazillion things we've looked at, and it's basically the combination of all of these points which have indicated, okay, Netherlands is one of the top possibilities, but we look at it as kind of we're doing testing at the moment. We're going into the market, and then if we see positive feedback, so okay, people want us there, then we will increase resources to that localization, and then we will continue to increase it. We'll get more people there. We make the service even better, more localized for the local people. So that's how we're going to kind of develop. If we don't see demand, like if the local people don't care about us, then we will look at other countries. So that's basically how our kind of mindset works at the moment.
A/B testing on a big scale.
Yes.
Do you see any difference in behavior from the Spanish people and the Finnish people on your platform, or is it kind of the same?
Well, there's differences, definitely. I think that that's like it's hard for me to talk about the specifics because I'm not really in that kind of.
I understand, for example, do Spanish people lend out their Bitcoin more, or do they deposit more per person and stuff like that, or don't you know?
There are differences, but I really can't talk from
All right.
memory about the specifics. Like I would have to need
That's
to look
fine.
at the stats in more detail. We of course have the stats, but it's based on discussions we've had, there are differences on like what we mostly discussed are like what the differences are in terms of how do we need to talk about things. So that's what I've been kind of personally involved in most in these discussions, is that
The
what
message.
is the message. Like we cannot talk about things the same way to Finnish people and to the Spanish people. So it's not just about translating things word to word and doing everything like our customer service and our website and everything is said the exact same way is not going to work ideally. That's something we have identified quite clearly, that we need to tweak the message a bit to make it more like to make it work better for that local area. So that's something that we've definitely identified.
All right, and to wrap this episode up, let's make a prediction. What will be the next phase of Bitcoin? Where do you think we're going this upcoming bull market? Do you think we're going to see prices above $100,000, or do you think we'll settle somewhere else?
I definitely believe that my prediction is that we're going to see over $100,000 in the next bull market. I won't talk about specific time frames because that's extremely hard to predict.
Yeah.
But what we're clearly seeing right now is that the price is going to be nearing the all-time high point, which is 20,000 in the near future. It's at least going to attempt to break it in the coming months. And if it's successfully broken and we go over that, I'm certain that we will see a major price increase. Like how big, it remains to be seen. But my prediction, it could reach over 100K. But it's very hard to make these predictions. The Bitcoin bull markets, Bitcoin price development in general is very unpredictable. We don't really know what is going to happen. But I'm very bullish, and I've always been. But it hasn't diminished at all. I think it's even increased recently. Like I've never been as bullish that I am right now, because kind of my just confidence in it is just increasing. It was strong before, but it's just ever stronger at the moment.
I think everything is in place now to also help with the demand, because in 2017 the big exchanges couldn't even handle the demand for creating accounts, for example.
Well, I hope so, because
true.
like it I don't know, because the numbers can just go up so much, even from where they were at peak in 2017, that it's a good question that do the exchanges even still, can they keep up? So even if they're made improvements, are the improvements enough?
Yeah, that
So
could be one of the bottlenecks, but there are much more options now than there were back then.
Yes, the infrastructure still and the whole economy is so much stronger in the crypto infra and the economy. So it'll be able to withstand much more. But it's interesting to see if it'll still hit its limit at some point. So because the amount of people
Or not.
signing up might be so big. But I of course hope, at least really hope, that the services can keep it up, like the exchanges and services like Coinmotion can keep it up. That's one of our key focuses actually, which I didn't mention, is the reliability of the platform. So we're coding a new backend. We're making a lot of optimizations for the current backend. We are kind of doing everything we can to make it more robust, so our platform will not crash when we have these bull market spikes. That's actually one of the key priorities of the whole company, to prepare for the bull market, be it like marketing or product development or whatever else. Like, we are doing everything we can prepare for that, and hope that our platform will stay up when the demand comes.
I think that's the case for every Bitcoin company. Even we as a publisher are always looking to make sure our servers will handle the traffic if the next all-time high is reached or something like that.
Yeah, that's a positive problem. Like, the way we see it, like, it's a positive problem. Like, if that situation arises, like, okay, then we have a lot of demand, but hopefully we can keep, like, because one issue is like, in the last bull market, 2017, we had to stop marketing at some point because it wouldn't make any sense, because we knew that if we get any more customers, our whole platform is going to die. So we basically had to stop marketing, and that was an unideal solution. It was not good, because of course by marketing more we get a lot more customers, we make more money. So for the company it wasn't good. So now we kind of made the decision that this cannot happen again. So in the next bull market, our marketing will not stop. It will do the opposite. We will market massively in the next bull market and be able to handle those customers. So that's kind of our key focus, because if it's a bull market, you should market heavily, and then your platform needs to handle that traffic. So that's what we're making sure of.
Sounds like a plan. And last but not least, where can people follow Coinmotion or yourself? On Twitter, or do you have other socials you want to plug?
Well, Coinmotion is active in all the social medias nowadays. Like, there's a lot of them, but I think we're active on
the main ones.
There's Facebook page, there's Twitter page, there's Instagram, there's LinkedIn. I think Coinmotion is active in all of those. Personally, my public profile is in Twitter, so it's Technomage with the A is a 4, so Technomage with a 4. That is my public social media. Yeah.
All right. And if you're interested in anything Coinmotion related, you can also visit the website, coinmotion.com, right?
Yes, it's just let me check. Yeah, it's coinmotion.com. We're actually going to add there will be, it's currently not still working, but there will be coinmotion.nl as well.
Very important.
Yeah, it will be. It will redirect to the Dutch version of the website straight. The coinmotion.com, you have to change it manually. So that's something we have up and coming soon. Just to comment, but coinmotion.com is the main domain.
Alrighty, thanks for your time, and hold on.
Yeah, definitely. All right, thanks.
Cheers.